Welcome back, everyone, to Data Science for Everyone. Today, we're going to be looking at
Perfect competition and why it matters. Market structure, the conditions in an industry, such as the number of sellers, how easy or difficult is it for a firm to enter, and the type of products that are sold. Perfect competition. Each firm faces many competitors that sell identical products. 4 criteria. Many firms produce identical products. Many buyers and many sellers are available. Sellers and buyers have all relevant information to make rational decisions. Firms can enter and leave the market without any restrictions. Price taker. A firm in a perfectly competitive market that must take the prevailing market price given. How monopolies form barriers to entry. Monopoly. One firm produces all of the output in the market. Barriers to entry are the legal, technological, and market forces that discourage and prevent potential competitors from entering a market. Natural monopoly, where the barriers to entry are something other than legal prohibition. Legal monopoly, laws prohibit or severely limit competition. Natural monopolies arise in industries where the marginal cost of adding an additional customer is very low. Once the fixed costs of all the overall system are in place. In smaller local markets for products that are difficult to transport, or when a company has control over a scarce physical resource. Economies of scale and the natural monopoly. In this market, the demand curve intersects the long run average cost curve at its downward sloping part. A natural monopoly occurs when the quantity demanded is less than the minimum quantity it takes to be at the bottom of the long run average cost curve. Legal monopoly. The government creates barriers to entry by prohibiting or limiting competition. For example, the U.S. Postal Service and the utilities, such as electric, water, and garbage, are legal monopolies. Promoting innovation. A patent gives the inventor the exclusive legal right to make, use, or sell the invention for a limited time. Trademark. An identifying symbol or name for a particular good. Copyright. A form of legal protection to prevent copying for commercial purposes original works of authorship, including books and music. Trade secrets. A method of production kept secret by the producing firm. Intellectual property. The body of law, including patents, trademarks, copyrights, and trade secret law that protect the right of inventors to produce and sell their inventions. This implies ownership over an idea, concept, image, not a physical piece of property. Deregulation. Deregulation removes government controls over setting prices and quantities in certain industries. Summing up barriers to trade. As we can see here, there are several types of barriers to entry and the government's role in a quick example. So, from left to right, up to down, the natural monopoly is the barrier to entry. The government often responds with regulations or ownership. For example, water and electric companies. Next, we have the control over the physical resource, which is a barrier to entry. There's no government role, and De Beers is an example for the diamond industry. A legal monopoly. Does the government have a role? Yes. The post office and past regulation of airlines and trucking. Patent, trademark, and copyright. Yes, the government does have a role through the protection of intellectual property. For example, new drugs or software. Intimidating potential competitors. Does the government play a role? Somewhat. Predatory pricing and well known brand names. Intimidating potential competition. Predatory pricing is where a firm uses a threat of sharp price cut to discourage competition. Monopolistic competition. Imperfectly competitive is firms and organizations that fall between the extremes of monopoly and perfect competition. Monopolistic competition, many firms competing to sell similar but differentiated products. Oligopoly, when a few large firms have all or most of the sales in an industry. Differentiated products. A differentiated product is a product that consumers perceive as distinctive in some way. Ways for a product to be differentiated: 1. Physical aspects; 2. The location which it sells; 3. Intangible aspects; and 4. Perceptions. Perceived demand for firms in different competitive settings. Figure A shows that the demand curve faced by a perfectly competitive firm is perfectly elastic. It can sell all the output it wishes at a prevailing market price. Figure B shows the demand curve faced by a monopoly is the market demand. It can sell more output only by decreasing the price it charges. Figure C shows the demand curve faced by a monopolistically competitive firm falls in between. How a monopolistic competitor chooses price and quantity. The monopolistically competitive firm decides on a profit maximizing quantity and price in much of the same way as a monopolist. A monopolistic competitor, like a monopolist, faces a downward sloping demand curve. It will choose some combination of price and quantity along its perceived demand curve. How a monopolistic competitor chooses its profit maximizing output and price. To maximize profits, a firm would choose a quantity Q where marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost. Here it would choose a quantity of 40 and a price of $16. Monopolistic competition and entry. If a monopolistic competitor earns positive economic profits, other firms will be tempted to enter the market. The entry of other firms into the same general market shifts the demand curve, as a monopolistically competitive firm faces. Monopolistic competition, entry, and exit. At P naught and at Q naught, the monopolistically competitive firm shown in this figure is making a positive economic profit. This is clear since if you follow the dotted line above Q naught, you can see that the price is greater than the average cost. Positive economic profits attract competing firms to the industry, driving the original firm's demand down to D1. At the new equilibrium quantity at P1 and Q1, the original firm is earning zero economic profit, and the entry to the industry ceases. In figure B, the opposite occurs. At P0 and Q0, the firm is losing money. If you follow the dotted line above Q0, you can see that the average cost is greater than the price. Losses induce firms to leave the industry. When they do, the demand for the original firm rises to D1, where once again, the firm is earning zero economic profit. Monopolistic competition and efficiency. The long-term result of entry and exit in a perfectly competitive firm and market. Firms sell at a price level determined by the lowest point on the average cost curve. Displays productive efficiency. Goods are produced at the lowest possible average cost. In monopolistic competition, the end result of entry and exit. Firms end up with a price that lies on the downward sloping portion of the average cost curve, not at the very bottom of the average cost curve. Thus, monopolistic competition will not be productively efficient. Oligopoly. An oligopoly is when a small number of large firms have all or most of the sales in the industry. If oligopolists compete hard, they act similarly to perfect competitors, driving down costs and leading to zero profits for all. If oligopolists collude with each other, then they may act as a monopoly and succeed in pushing up prices and earning consistently higher levels of profit. Collusion. When firms act together to reduce output and keep prices high, they do this by holding down industry output and charging a higher price and dividing the profit among themselves. A cartel is a group of firms that have a formal agreement to collude to produce the monopoly output and sell at a monopoly price. Game theory, a branch of mathematics that analyzes situations in which players must make decisions and then perceive payoffs based on what other players decide to do. The prisoner's dilemma, a scenario in which the Gains from cooperation are larger than the rewards from pursuing self interests. Oligopoly version of the prisoner's dilemma. An oligopoly with two firms is a duopoly. How to enforce cooperation. The way out of a prisoner's dilemma is to find a way to penalize those who do not cooperate. Oligopolists may choose to act in a way that generates pressure on each firm to stick to its agreed quantity of output. A kink demand curve is a perceived demand curve that arises when competing oligopoly firms commit to match price cuts, but not price increases. A member firm in an oligopoly cartel is supposed to produce at a quantity of 10,000 and sell at a price of 500. The other members of the cartel can encourage this firm to honor its commitments by acting so that the firm faces a kinked demand curve. If the member firm expands output to 11,000, the price per unit falls dramatically to 300 because other firms also cut their prices immediately. If the firm rises its price to $550, its sales decline sharply to 5,000 because the other firms will not raise prices also. Thus, the members of the cartel can discipline each other to stick to the pre-agreed levels of output and price through a strategy of matching all price cuts but not matching any price increases.
If you guys like this video, please make sure to comment, subscribe, and hit that like button, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.